Ryazero by Tapi Nagatsuki. Want to create an audiobook like this yourself? Try Artale.ai. Now sit back and enjoy the story. Even now, she deeply recalled the feeling she had at the time. Familiar sights had flames all around them, people she knew had turned into silent corpses. A world coming to an end. A closed world. A thankless world. A world that was harsh, senseless, and brought nothing but pain. Even so, she reached out with her hand, moved her fingers, quivered her lips, and pleaded. After all, while it was a world beyond saving, it was still the only one she had. It was a world that always had its back turned to her, locked away before her eyes. A world she could gaze into only from afar. Well, was a world that always had. She wanted to abruptly tear down that wall, squint at the broad, dazzling world before her, and carve into her unopened eyes the color of sun-baked skin, the color and smell of burned meat, the color of the beautiful horns that danced in the sky. Here was the world about to end, and what was she thinking about? For even then she could still remember the feelings she had at the time. Thereafter, she devoted each and every day to expunging her guilt over those feelings above all else. The first thing that flew into his eyes as they blinked open was an artificial sense of dazzling white. Beyond the light, a broad ceiling spread before him with crystals attached to it, providing flickering light that illuminated the room's interior. Confirming in his head that he was waking up, Subaru's mind immediately grasped how good his wake-up felt.
The pillow feels different, huh? Smells better too. Definitely higher class than usual.
Subaru savored the feel of the blanket and the other fine scents as he sat up in bed. At a glance, he knew it was a room for the upper class. Subaru had slept in a king-size bed that could fit 5 people to spare. The room was about 90 square feet, oddly spacious with only a bed in it.
The quality of the painting on the wall is so high it makes the room feel lonelier, huh? A guest room, then?
Subaru, now completely awake, gently swung his legs over the side of the bed and checked his physical condition. He made sure he could rotate his legs and shoulders, finally pulling up his clothes and gingerly touching his belly.
Abdominal wound totally gone. No bruises, of course no scar either. This world's medical tech is pretty awesome to not leave sewing marks, assuming my big scene wasn't all just in my imagination anyway.
He recalled the string of events leading up to his abdomen being deeply slashed. Subaru, a completely ordinary Japanese schoolboy, was abruptly summoned to another world in a painfully cliché manner, coming face to face with death, literally on multiple occasions. That he was still alive was thanks to a string of coincidences that one could only call miraculous.
But how much time's passed since then? No way to tell the time, huh?
He glanced all around the room, unable to find any sign of calendars, clocks, or anything similar. The gold glowing crystal above the door stood out. The darkness outside the window told him it was night, which was news to him. Subaru slumped his shoulders and took a deep breath. Then, he voiced the inescapable conclusion on his lips and finally resigned himself to face reality.
Any way you slice it, this time I managed to avoid return by death, huh? First time, it was a pathetic death. Second time, it was a bold death. Third time, I died like a dog. Fourth time, I got involved in Mortal Kombat and died from a stray blow, is what I would be saying if I hadn't overcome that development.
Man, if I died then, I'd be on a one-way ticket to Mobville.
Flopping back into the bed, Subaru counted the causes of his deaths on his fingers. Looking back on it, armed robbery included, he'd been slashed to death every time. He didn't want to see a blade again anytime soon. At any rate, he'd somehow managed to avoid return by death and had finally been able to move time forward. The fact that he was all right after sustaining a plainly lethal wound meant,
considering the situation, it was that girl's, Emilia's healing magic, huh?
An image arose in the back of his mind of a beautiful lilac-eyed girl with silver hair, Emilia. He thought it was safe to assume she'd healed his abdominal wound. Having had a wound healed by Emilia once before, it was a natural assumption for Subaru to make. Subaru reasoned that, as a result, the guest room he was resting in was part of a mansion owned by Emilia. Then again,
it's entirely possible this mansion's connected to Reinhardt's family, but, well...
Glancing toward the door, Subaru let out a dissatisfied sigh at the lack of information on his current situation.
Normally, there'd be a pretty girl at your bedside when you open your eyes, saying, "Are you awake?" There weren't any pretty girls when I was summoned either. For a summons, this one sure has some glaring inadequacies.
This summons was definitely third-rate. He couldn't slice through armies, and he barely had any meaningful encounters.
Besides, nothing's happening so far, so it's up to me to do recon and make myself comfortable.
Subaru practically leapt to his feet and put his hand on the door. The refreshingly cool air blew in through the open doorway and the floor transferred the cold directly to his bare feet. When he left the room, the walls and floor of a corridor, all in warm colors, unfolded before him. The passageway continued on and on to both the left and right. Frighteningly, he couldn't see either end of the corridor.
It's so much like a palace that all I can say is whoa. It's insanely huge. Can't even tell if anyone's here.
Delicately walking down the corridor on bare feet, Subaru scowled at the silence. It was as if he couldn't hear any signs of life that should normally be there.
It's too quiet even for the night. Makes me not want to raise my voice.
Personality-wise, Subaru was geared toward asking, "Is anybody here?" in a loud voice, but the present circumstances made that too dangerous. After all, Subaru had not yet determined whether this was a safe place for him or not. Subaru had accepted as a matter of course that the host was friendly, but in the worst case it was possible the assassin with a love of slitting bellies might have returned and abducted him. All the same, he wouldn't be able to lift a finger if he assumed everything was doomed.
Kenichi once said life must be lived. That's what I think too.
Incidentally, Kenichi was Subaru's father. It was very fitting that a person like him was his father. Subaru's steps forward did not falter, but after walking a while, Subaru twisted his neck a bit.
I've walked this much, but I haven't hit a bend. Is that even possible?
Unsurprisingly, he could not contain his misgivings. Subaru turned around, thinking about going back the other way. Then he raised an eyebrow and remarked,
Huh? That painting. I think it was right in front of me when I came out of the room.
Subaru crossed his arms as he stood in front of the oil painting decorating the corridor. The painting was of a forest scene at night. He felt like it was the same as the one he'd seen when he stepped out of the room. Unless Subaru had moved at the literal pace of a snail, he jumped at the only possibility he could think of.
Maybe the floor has some trick that makes it move around on its own, or could it be that the corridor loops around?
He'd probably turned in the opposite map direction after going a certain way. It was a field trap like you'd see in an RPG.
If the corridor's looping, maybe it's got something to do with return by death.
Subaru, hoping someone out there agreed with him, grasped the doorknob of the closest room and opened it. When he did, a no-frills room that had nothing within greeted him. Of course, no one was in it either.
A looping corridor with any number of rooms. So if I don't find the right one, I can't get out.
Though he hadn't yet truly accepted, he'd been summoned to another world. Here he was facing a new fantasy element right after waking.
So if this goes according to cliché, it could take me hours to find the right one. I'll go hungry, my mind'll give out, then my body will too. If that's the case.
The situation made Subaru want to hold his head. Taking a deep breath, Subaru wiped the sweat off his brow and took the first decisive step forward. He twisted the doorknob of the door facing the oil painting. In other words, the door that looked like the one Subaru had exited.
I'll sleep in my room till someone comes. Maybe that first room was the goal anyway.
Speaking his characteristically flippant thoughts, Subaru entered the room.
Past. How do you look like such a deeply irritating person, I wonder?
Within the book-filled archive that Subaru had no recollection of seeing earlier, a girl with curly hair glared right at him. It was a room that truly screamed book archive at you. The breadth of the room was about twice that of the first one, chock full of bookshelves that rose to the ceiling. Each shelf was lined with books. It hurt to even try to guesstimate.
Fur? Man, here in a place full of books and I can't read a single one. What a bummer.
His breath caught when he looked all around the bookshelves, unable to find a single one with the title on its spine in Japanese. It wasn't some sort of alphabet either. Rather, these were characters like those he saw in the royal capital. The characters in common use in that world. Subaru let out a sigh as he looked over the characters he couldn't read, no matter how hard he tried.
Looking all over someone else's bookshelves and sighing on top of that? Are you trying to offend? I wonder. Perhaps I should respond in kind?
Your pretty face'll go all to waste if you're that prickly. Simon, smile.
Am simply pretty by nature. I suppose my contemptuous sneer should be enough for the likes of you.
Putting the tips of her fingers to her cheeks, the girl formed a cruel smile. Betty was a sweet, lovely girl. a sight he'd seen several times in this world already. She looked younger than felt in the slums, no more than 11 or 12 years old. Her frilly hairstyle matched her ornate dress, both framing her lovely face. Her pale cream-colored hair was worn long, distinctive for its swirling rolls. If she'd only smile properly, there was no one's heart she'd fail to melt. She had held the large book in her hands as she sat on a wooden footstool, from which she looked up at Subaru.
You know big words like contemptuous sneer, huh? And you're in a bad mood because I got it right in one go? My bad. I've been doing stuff like this since way back.
Subaru Natsuki had a knack for picking the right answer to difficult questions with many options without hints on the first try. In the past, Subaru had unwittingly ruined many a scheme like that. The corridor from before made one more on the list.
And all my hard work constructing the domain, all for naught just like that. It is quite horrid.
I suppose GMs would want me to trigger all their events instead of skipping to the end, so I get it. My bad, my bad.
Subaru made a light wave of his hand in apology while the girl glared at him with half-lidded eyes. Apparently, it was this girl's scheme that Subaru's thoughtless act had foiled.
Well, let's make that water under the bridge. Could you tell me where this is?
It is my archive. My sleeping quarters. My private chambers. Perhaps.
Should not that make me feel kind of sad for you? I mean, you don't have your own bedroom to sleep in? That's horrible. Or about you using a library as your private chambers, maybe I should just laugh.
Are those remarks intended with a touch of teasing, I wonder?
The annoyed girl, replying with blunt sarcasm, who called herself Betty, puffed out her cheeks and advanced upon Subaru.
I am finally reaching the limit of my patience. You should be put in your place a little, I suppose.
Hey, whatever you're planning, let's not. I'm just an ordinary guy, no combat ability at all here.
His eyes became smaller and damper as his body made tiny quivers in a showy pose, but the speed of the girl's soft footsteps increased.
Stay right there.
Suddenly, Subaru was assailed by a feeling like a chill up his spine. The girl, already before his eyes, stretched out her hand all the way to Subaru. Subaru froze as the girl, her height not reaching near his upper chest, stared at him with pale blue eyes. His skin broke out in goosebumps as a quiet, high-pitched ringing echoed inside his skull.
Is there something you wish to say?
As the girl posed her question, he unfroze for a moment. Subaru searched for the best thing to say during the instant he had been permitted. Subaru's gaze wandered as his lips quivered.
It's not gonna hurt, is it?
And should I applaud your devotion to your flippant tongue? I wonder.
Speaking with a tone of genuine admiration, the girl reached her hand to Subaru's chest. Her palm pushed against his breast, her fingertips pressing softly against the surface. It felt ticklish. And the next moment, Subaru felt like his entire body was on fire. Something was running wild inside him, making him feel like he was on fire from the tips of his fingers to the very ends of his hair. The eerie pain was as if a finger of flame were tracing his internal organs. His vision darkened. When Subaru came to, he had fallen onto his knees, a large amount of tears flowing from him.
It seems you did not faint. Perhaps you are as sturdy as I heard.
What did you do, Drill Loli?
I simply interfered with the mana inside your body. Does the circulation feel slightly off, I wonder?
The girl calmly murmured as she knelt down and jabbed a finger into Subaru's body.
Well, it would be good to confirm whether you had hostile intent or not. And for your rudeness toward my hard work, your mana should be confiscated before letting you go, I suppose.
Subaru, having reached his limit, was unable to remain upright from the jab, his head falling to the floor. Despite this, he was able to slowly use his neck, looking up as the girl glared down at him with a sadistic smile.
You're not human, are you? And I don't mean your personality.
Yes. You are quite slow to grasp that for someone who has met Pucky already.
The girl looked down with amusement as Subaru crawled. She looked younger than her choice of words hinted at, feeling like the sort of little girl who'd ripped the wings off an insect in a cruel game.
Correction, your personality's inhuman too.
Surely, a sublime being, far beyond your ability to measure human.
It was an overly glacial statement coming from the lips of a little girl. Subaru felt the inside of his chest smolder, but he had no strength left to describe the heat with words. Subaru's consciousness sank into darkness against his will.
Jeez, I just woke up and I'm getting knocked out again?
If you die here, your husk would be troublesome to remove. I shall speak to the others.
Don't say husk! It makes me sound like an insect, you little brat.
Subaru returned to sleep once more, unable to move even his frivolous tongue.
My, it seems he has awakened, sister.
Yes, Rem. He is awake.
When he next awoke, two girls spoke, their voices sharing the same timbre. He was in the same soft, comfortable bed as before. The slight opening of the curtains let in the dazzling rays of the sun, burning sleepy Subaru's eyelids. He instinctively assumed it was morning.
Oh, I'm not so much nocturnal as I am a denizen of the night. Waking up in the morning makes my chest burn.
Wide awake, Subaru sat up as he remembered that his day and night cycles were inverted while school was out. He looked around, rotated his shoulders, and shifted his hips toward the window as he looked in that direction.
Dear guest, it is now 7 solar time.
Dear guest, it is about 7 solar time.
Their friendly voices conveyed the time of day. 7 solar time. He didn't know what that meant, but he guessed it meant something similar to 7 a.m.
That being the case, if you don't count the wake up earlier, I've slept for about a whole day. Huh. Well, my record is 2.5 days, so this is no big deal, really.
Sister, did you hear? Quite a lazy thing to say. Yes, Rem, I heard. Quite a good-for-nothing thing to say.
So, who are these ladies who've been chewing me out in stereo here?
Subaru sat up quickly, taken by surprise at the girls, sandwiching the bed from both sides. The girls rushed a short distance to a corner of the room, joining hands and drawing their faces close as they looked at him. Standing side by side, their faces were two peas in a pod. The girls were obviously twins. Both stood about 150 centimeters tall. Their big eyes, pink lips, and the soft, youthful loveliness of their faces made them outright adorable. Both wore their hair in short bobs, with their hair parted to fall across one eye, the right eye on one, and the left eye on the other. The way their hair was parted and the fact that one had pink hair and the other blue were the only visual clues to tell them apart. The twins watched Subaru carefully. His mind quivered as though it were all scratched up, as he suddenly realized.
No way! There are maid outfits in this world too?
They wore black apron dresses with white accents and white lace headpieces on their heads. These outfits were specially modified to expose their narrow shoulders, which, combined with the short skirts, flaunted their body lines in scandalous ways. Subaru didn't know a whole lot about maid outfits, but he was certain the level of skin exposure represented the designer's personal taste, though the twins who wore them were beautiful regardless.
I thought maids were supposed to dress modestly, but I think I'm a fan.
This is terrible, sister. Right now, in dear guest's head, you are the subject of obscene, degrading thoughts. This is dreadful, Rem. Right now, dear guest heads have become filled with completely disgusting thoughts about you.
Don't take my mental capacity for granted, ladies. You're both going to star in my fantasies.
Subaru crossed his forearms and made suggestive motions with his fingers. The gesture made the two maids' faces tremble. The girls wrapped around each other, releasing their hands and pointing at each other.
Please forgive me, dear guest. Let me go and defile sister instead. Please stop this, dear guest. Let me go and humiliate Rem instead.
Where's the sisterly love here? I mean, selling each other out and making me some archvillain?
The two maids pushed the role of scapegoat onto the other, looking at Subaru as if wondering which one he'd sink his evil fangs into first. That was when he suddenly noticed. The girl stood inside the open door, tapping it softly while looking at the three of them.
Couldn't you wake up with less drama?
Today, she was letting her long silver hair hang naturally all the way to her hips. Her outfit was not the robe he'd seen at the Capitol, but rather an outfit that accentuated her light skin and slender physique with its design. The skirt was unexpectedly short. Subaru, marveling at how it showed off her long legs, pumped a fist.
I get it. Whoever chose this, I get what they were thinking.
The silver-haired girl, Emilia, gawked at Subaru's praise.
I'm not quite sure what you're referring to, but I'm very disappointed that I know it's something meaningless.
In one move, Emilia's sudden visit had greatly improved Subaru's mental state. In a place full of unknowns, his incident with the first little girl he had met was especially poignant. Seeing Emilia, A friendly face he'd known since just after his summoning to another world made it all the more special in his mind.
To think I was worried a bit when I heard Beatrice was rough on you when you were low on blood. I really shouldn't have bothered.
I'm in a super good mood from waking up to your face, though, and I'm a little afraid to ask this, but
With Emilia giving him a suspicious look, Subaru put both his hands together and timidly looked at her with upturned eyes.
you remember all about me, right?
That gesture, for some reason, I don't like it. Also, that's an odd question. I don't think I'd forget someone who stands out as much as you do, Subaru.
With Emilia smiling charmingly at him and calling his name, Subaru slumped his shoulders in relief. Then, realizing that for once a girl was calling him by name, he was rather flushed.
Please listen, Lady Emilia. This person was terribly humiliating. For sister, that is. Hear this, Lady Emilia. This man has trapped and violated girls. Rem, that is.
The twins left Subaru behind, who was now red to the tips of his ears, as they rushed to Emilia's side to make their baseless charges. Emilia made a strained smile at their slander and glanced sideways at Subaru.
I don't know Subaru enough to say I know he wouldn't do that, but I trust that he probably did not. Don't tease him too much, okay?
Yes, Lady Emilia. Ram shall reflect on this.
Yes, Lady Emilia. Reem will reflect on this.
Despite their statements, the twins didn't appear to mean it even a tiny bit. Emilia showed no signs of objecting to their attitude. Perhaps she was simply used to it.
Anyway, Subaru, are you doing all right? Nothing feels wrong anywhere?
Oh, yeah. Before I slept, I felt like my whole body was on fire and I was going to die, but I don't feel one bit of that now. I actually feel like I slept a bit too much.
If you're no worse than that, good. Can you handle a little stroll?
Stroll?
Emilia was making a small smile as Subaru tilted his head.
Yes, a stroll. I try to go into the garden once a day, and this seems like a good time for it, no?
Once a day? Doing what? Watering the flower bed?
Not exactly. One of the conditions of my pact with the various spirits is that I make contact and speak with them every morning.
When Emilia said spirit, Subaru thought back to the cat spirit he'd seen with Emilia. A stroll and a chat with the spirits. It was a nice idea that provided fodder for his curiosity and his ulterior motives.
Sounds like great rehab to me, Emilia Tan. How about I stroll around the garden and exercise while you're talking to the spirits?
Well, if you don't talk loudly or make a big fuss, sure, eh? What did you say just now?
Okay, it's a deal. Let's go to the garden.
Hey, what did you say? What is Tan? Where'd that come from?
The pet name seemed to throw off Emilia. Subaru was hiding his blush at having her call his name so openly when he turned toward the faces of the two maids standing side by side.
Hey, maid sisters. Where are my old clothes? Feels like I got in a hospital gown while I was out. I figure the mansion here lent this to me, but
Do you understand, sister? Perhaps he means that drag gray rag?
I understand, Rem. He means that blood-stained mouse-colored piece of filth.
some guts there, calling it filthy and looking like a dirty rat. If it's in one piece, could you hand it over?
Faced with Subaru's request, the twins turned to Emilia. Their looks said they wanted permission. When Emilia responded with a nod, the twins politely bowed and left the room.
You don't need to hear this from me, but you mustn't strain yourself. You were terribly injured.
You closed the wound perfectly, though. Oh, yeah.
As if remembering something, Subaru straightened his posture and slowly bowed his head to Emilia.
Thank you for healing my wounds, Emilia Tan. You saved me. I really am scared of dying. I'd like to do it only once.
Normally once is all you get? But, never mind that.
After the spontaneous verbal jab, Emilia's purple eyes wavered as she looked at Subaru.
I should be the one thanking you. You risked your life for mine when you barely knew me. Healing your wounds was the least I could do.
Subaru's breath caught at her sincerely apologetic look. He hated himself for being unable to give her the reply he wanted to. Emilia had said never mind that at her saving him. Yet it had been Emilia who had saved him first, but the only record of that was inside Subaru's memories. Subaru smiled, holding in the gratitude he could never properly convey.
Well, since we saved each other, I think we're all square here.
Square?
It means that neither of us owes the other a thing, so let's get along, brother.
If you were talking to a resident of the poor district, this would be the time for him to kindly clap them on the shoulder. But at that moment, it was all Subaru could do to cover up his embarrassment and blushing face as best he could. Emilia made a small smile at Subaru.
Do I really need a younger brother this weird?
That's a pretty harsh comment.
He slumped his shoulders at the casual put-down. Both laughed at the exchange as the door opened and the twin maids returned. Subaru straightened as he saw them carrying the top and bottom of his tracksuit, one part each.
Guess it's time to restart the day.
His first day since surpassing return by death was truly beginning. Subaru shook his head when the maids offered to dress him, changing clothes by his own power before heading to the manor's garden with Emilia. Subaru let out a sigh of admiration as he looked over the broad garden.
This is really big, too. The mansion's huge, but this is more a grassland than a garden.
He had seen gardens of the manors of the well-off in manga and anime from time to time. They were the sorts of places where you held dinner parties. There, in the middle of the huge garden, Subaru began stretching exercises to begin his rehabilitation post-haste. Emilia looked on curiously as she watched Subaru's movements.
Those are odd moves. What are you doing?
Oh, don't you do warm-ups here. You do them before starting strenuous exercise.
I haven't really seen much of that. But I do understand it's dangerous to make sudden hard movements.
So people don't do stretching in this world? Oh, well, it can't be helped. How about I teach you? Genuine warm-up exercises from my homeland passed down through the generations?
Emilia seemed to yield in the face of Subaru's confident proclamation.
All right. Just a bit then.
She said, copying Subaru. Subaru stood beside Emilia and gave out instructions.
Morning warm-up part 2. Reach high with your hands and stretch that back tilde. Tilde.
What? No way!
Just do what I do. I'll pound the essence of radio calisthenics into you yet.
With Emilia lost, Subaru scolded her and followed the beat of a routine famous around the nation. Emilia was still bewildered at first, but proved a quick study. When both finished making their final deep breaths, Subaru spread both hands into the sky.
And die. Raise your hands. Victory.
The victory!
Okay, there you go, Emilia Tan. You are now a radio calisthenics novice.
Having finished doing calisthenics with all her might, Emilia's face showed the new title had made a deep impression, but she made a face like she'd just remembered her original purpose.
Right. Things really got off the beaten path. But if I forget this, they'll be upset.
Emilia, making a thin, pleasant smile as she spoke, brought out a green crystal from her pocket and showed it to Subaru.
That's...
Crystal for spirits to inhabit. You know, like Puck.
The kitty cat that slept through all the big stuff? Bet he doesn't know about my heroic scene then?
The crystal glowed as if to rebuke Subaru's taking him lightly. The indifferent voice came from the crystal at first.
Oh, not at all. Subaru, Leah told me all about it after things got wrapped up.
Finally, light poured out of the crystal and condensed into an outline forming atop Emilia's palm.
Hey, morning. Subaru, nice weather.
It's been an up and down night and morning for me though. First the looping corridor, then that menacing little girl. Now I'm past that and working up a sweat with Emilia Tan.
Emilia's lips tapered into a pout.
People will get the wrong impression if you say that.
Emilia then looked at Puck, sitting atop her palm.
Good morning, Puck. Sorry for pushing you so hard yesterday.
Good morning, Leah. I'm the one sorry for yesterday, though. I almost lost you. I can't thank Subaru enough, really.
Puck looked up at Subaru with his round black eyes as he stroked his pink nose with his paw.
Well, I owe you something. I wonder if there's anything you want, something I can do. I mean...
Subaru's reply to Puck's grandiose statement was immediate.
All right, let me touch that fur of yours to my heart's content.
Puck's and Emilia's eyes went wide. Apparently, the speed of the reply had surprised them as much as the content.
Shh! Shouldn't you take a little longer to decide? Puck might look small and unreliable, but his power level really is quite something.
Hey, to me, being able to feel fur, like from the finest fabrics, is a really huge thing. I wouldn't take any amount of money over it. No, seriously.
As Subaru spoke, he indulged his right and stuck his finger toward Puck, first belly, then chin, and the ears to finish him off.
Oh, these ears are addictive. I'm totally into your fluffiness here.
I know from reading the surface of your thoughts, but to hear you actually say it, wow!
Subaru liberally toyed around as Puck made pleasant noises from his throat. Emilia let out a sigh of resignation as she watched Subaru and Puck play.
Well, I'm going to talk to the lesser spirits, then it's fine if you two play, but don't interfere, okay?
So, she dumped us.
Yep, she dumped us.
As both slumped their shoulders, Emilia made a point of ignoring them as she softly went to a corner of the garden. She gave the ground a light brush before sitting down. Emilia closed her eyes as pale lights began to surround her. He'd seen that sight before.
Lesser spirits, huh?
That's right. Most are classified as lesser or greater spirits, though a lot are outside of those categories.
Not that it doesn't help, but I don't know how to classify them.
Subaru knew that the lights frolicking around Emilia were lesser spirits because Emilia had said as much during the loop in the royal capital. As Emilia sat, she spoke softly to the minor spirits, smiling from time to time. The minor spirits seemed to brighten or fade accordingly.
You said a pact with minor spirits, but, what is that?
A ceremonial pact with a spirit, forging a covenant.
Subaru frowned at the term he hadn't heard before.
You see, a spirit master can't use spirit spells unless she makes a pact with spirits first. The details of the pacts differ according to the spirits. Still with me?
So it's not like interest and collateral for a bank loan then. Gotcha.
My name's not Gotcha, but let's move on. So individual spirits want different things, but minor spirits like that just want pacts with simple conditions like contact with the caster.
So it's like easy stuff for beginners. I take it that doesn't work for other spirits?
It helps that you're quick on the uptake. This won't get far if you keep going off on tangents, though.
Oops, said Subaru with a blushy smile. For his part, Puck gave him a warm look as he toyed with his own whiskers.
Right, it's a bit harder to satisfy a spirit with a mind of his own, like me. I'd like to give to the pact maker as good as I take, but my conditions with Leah are pretty strict.
It's been on my mind since earlier, but Leah, that's a cute nickname.
Your Emilia Tan's even cuter, though. I should call her that, too. Don't. Seriously, I'm begging you.
With puffed-up cheeks, Emilia cut into their silly games. As Emilia returned, the spirits around her winked out. Apparently, spirit talk time had come to an end. Subaru stood up and brushed the grass off his rear.
Quality time over? That felt easier than I expected.
I was mindful of you two, so I asked them to keep it short. We have things we need to discuss today.
As Emilia spoke, she offered up her palm. Puck leapt from Subaru, landing upon it. Puck's round eyes turned toward Emilia with what seemed like a small, satisfied smile.
It's all right. I got a good feel for him, and I can't find one shred of malice, hostility, or intent to do harm. Subaru's a good boy, though. His personality is a bit weird.
Aghast at Puck appraising him to Emilia on various levels, Subaru could only gape.
Why did you? Even if it's true, isn't saying it in front of him hurtful?
That's fine. I'm a complete stranger to you, so of course you would check me out. You're right to doubt. But that part at the end really hurt, Emilia Tan.
Emilia quickly covered her mouth with a hand and made a pained smile at Subaru. Subaru hadn't touched Puck all over without a reason. He'd expected this to come up. Emilia and the others weren't so careless as to accept Subaru without knowing a single firm thing about him. No doubt that partially explained Rams and Rem's demeanor.
That said, I don't have any good way to explain.
There was obviously no pre-existing record of Subaru in this world. Explaining that he'd been summoned was a tough sell. With good odds he'd be treated as a lunatic. That being the case, letting Puck get a good read on him was the best option. Words from Puck, trusted by Emilia and able to read conscious thoughts, were a lot more convincing than anything Subaru could come up with.
It's all right, Leah. Oh, and I know what you were up to, Subaru. Naughty boy using my mind reading like that.
I'm honored. Let's get along famously, my friend.
How Subaru addressed them put a look of shock on Puck's face. He then broke into a wide smile.
It's been a while since I got this kind of treatment. I like it.
I'd rather hear those words from Emilia Tan. Oh well, as they say, to take down a general first take down his horse? Well, you're kind of a cat, so does that still make sense? I wonder.
A surprised look came over Emilia as she watched Subaru put a finger to his chin and sink into serious thought. When Subaru curiously raised his eyebrows, Emilia inhaled a bit.
Really, Subaru? You are so strange.
Huh?
Giving leading looks to, half-elf like me who speaks to spirits like it's a normal thing. It surprised me even as a joke.
In his heart, Subaru countered, "Would you be as surprised if you knew it wasn't a joke?" But he forgot all about that as he fell for Emilia's charming smile. This smile was on par with the one she'd given him when they'd exchanged names at the royal capital. It seemed fleeting and fickle, which only made his heart flutter all the more. Her beautiful, flowing silver hair was as surreal as dew in the moonlight. Her skin was as pale as the first snow. Her violet eyes seemed to hold Subaru's mind firmly in their spell, and wouldn't let go. He knew she was sublime, beautiful, with a heart of gold wrapped around an unshakable core. Subaru wanted nothing more than to put his hands on his cheeks and give thanks to Mother Nature. But he abstained.
Wonder what's with those two.
And, as Emilia mentioned something she'd noticed, Subaru looked toward the manor. The twin maids were walking down from the mansion. Both gave formal bows before Subaru and Emilia, speaking in perfect stereo, not off by the slightest bit.
Master Roswaal, Lord of the Manor has returned. Please come this way.
Master Roswaal, Lord of the Manor, has returned. Please come this way.
Their perfect combo surprised Subaru, but the maid's change of demeanor surprised him more. Their earlier frivolousness was nowhere to be found, replaced by a sense of dignity befitting servants of the upper crust.
I see. Roswaal, we'd best go see him then.
Yes, and he said to bring our dear guest as well, should he be awake.
Puck wriggled into Emilia's silver hair. Emilia's face stiffened a bit as she patted down her hair. Watching her from the side, Subaru cracked his neck slightly at being addressed.
So, who is this Roswaal guy, anyway?
Lord of this manor. That's right. I didn't explain.
Emilia put her palm to her mouth as she realized her own slip.
Right. Roswaal is, you'll understand when you meet him.
You gave up on that explanation too fast. What, he's too plain to describe?
No, the opposite.
No, the opposite.
No, the opposite.
No, the opposite.
Subaru's jaw dropped open in a face of surprise multiplied by 4. The blue-haired girl gently closed his mouth from below with her hand before giving a solemn bow. The pink-haired maid standing beside her motioned to the mansion.
One cannot describe the likes of Master Roswaal with words alone. You shall understand when you meet him, dear guest. It is all right, he is a kind lord.
The twins met each other's gazes and nodded, with the repeated affirmation serving only to deepen his doubts. With Subaru bewildered, Emilia looked like she grudgingly agreed with the twins as she gently reached out to him. Giving Subaru's shoulder a couple of pats, Emilia murmured in a grave voice,
He'll probably get along just fine, Subaru. He'll wear you out, though.
In the dining hall, the twins led them to where breakfast was to be held. The girl with curly hair said in place of a greeting,
Guest! Watching from above, I felt dismay at seeing your considerably disappointing head, I wonder.
Emilia had split off midway to return to her room to change clothes, so at that moment, only Subaru and the curly-haired girl were in the dining hall. Subaru made a sour face at her sarcasm.
What's with talking like that on a fine morning like this, lowly?
What is that term? I wonder. I have never heard it, yet it feels distinctly unpleasant.
It means you're not on my list. I never go for girls younger than me.
Perhaps I should pity you for having insulted me so.
Deliberately ignoring the sarcastic girl's words, Subaru looked over the dining hall. A table covered in a white cloth was at the center. The plates had already been set. If one was set for Subaru, It was surely the lowest seat at the table.
I don't know anything about table manners. How about I let you give me pointers?
Is that arrogance? I wonder. If you do not understand, simply say so and lower your head.
If I could do that much, I might as well just sit in the big chair and really irritate you.
The girl shook with anger, her face going red as Subaru waved with a palm and sat in the big chair. It'd probably be Emilia or the lord of the manor who'd sit there, with 50-50 odds for each. Seeing Subaru genuinely unable to get comfortable in the chair, the curly-haired girl shook her exasperated face.
Well, fine. More importantly, have you no words with which to thank me?
Thanks. I asked for help just now and you brushed me off, didn't you? And what kind of person asks to be thanked? I'd want to see the look on your dad's face for that one.
What are you angry for, I wonder? I should be the angry one. After all I did.
They kept egging each other on. The girl, her voice flustered at Subaru's reply, never quite finished her sentence. Mindful of the unnatural pause, Subaru prompted her to continue. But the door to the dining hall opened and the twin maids came in pushing a cart.
Pardon us, dear guest. I shall set the meal.
Pardon us, dear guest. I shall set the tableware and the tea.
The blue-haired girl laid out an orthodox breakfast menu consisting of salad, bread, and the like, while the pink-haired girl briskly poured and placed cups of tea. The warm scents made Subaru's stomach grumble out of nowhere.
Whoa, not bad at all. Now this is a breakfast fit for nobility. I was worried it was going to be some weird, out-of-this-world thing.
Subaru, worried that any strange thing could potentially be served here, was considerably relieved. When he looked all around, he couldn't place anything in particular that seemed to pose physical and mental danger. His enthusiasm rising, Subaru leaned back against the chair, making it creak. The sound echoed throughout the dining room, bringing a hint of annoyance to the girl's soothing face. For some reason, Subaru couldn't resist needling the curly-haired girl. Wanting to see her soothing face break down further, Subaru, full of mischief, decided to move his butt all around the chair. However, before he could do so, a new individual entered the dining hall, his happy-sounding voice interrupting everything else.
Oh, my. You certainly seem rather spry. That is good, very good.
He was a tall man, at least half a head above Subaru's height, wearing his dark blue hair long to nearly cover his entire back. But his body seemed not so much slender as delicate, with his skin colored ghastly pale. Combined with the look of his face, he somehow seemed like some sort of pretty boy. The effect was further accentuated by his left and right eyes being different colors, the first yellow, the other blue. Well, it might have if he wasn't decked out in that weird outfit and makeup that made him look like a clown.
Man, you hired a jester to entertain us before breakfast? I'll never get how rich folks think.
Beatrice watched and commented.
I have some idea what you must be thinking, but I shall not get in the way.
Don't be that way, Betty. We're friends, right? Let's do some more small talk.
What kind of relationship do you and I have, I wonder? Also, do not speak my name so casually.
The girl snubbed him with a shrug and withdrew from the conversation. Subaru scowled at her behavior as the clown walking into the dining hall opened his eyes wide, looking at both her and Subaru.
Oh my, it is rare to see Beatrice here. Is it not fortuitous that you decided to share a meal with me after so long?
If that man over there is the only optimist, wouldn't that already be too many? I wonder. I wait for Pucky and Pucky alone.
Brushing off his chummy statement, the girl, Beatrice, shifted to behind the clown. The silver-haired girl, having finished changing her attire, entered the dining hall a bit after the clown.
Pucky?
Practically leaping from her seat, Beatrice ran over, her long skirt swaying. Seeing a smile like a flower in bloom come over her was so adorable that it made him forget how he'd pegged the girl as cheeky. Her gaze was trained on Emilia, but it was not Emilia who replied.
Hey, Betty. It's been 4 days. Have you been happy and ladylike?
Beatrice nodded at the words of the buoyant little gray kitty popping out of Emilia's hair.
I have been eagerly awaiting your return, Pucky. You would enjoy spending the day together, I wonder? Yeah, that'd be great. Both of us can take it easy for one day. That is wonderful.
Puck leapt off Emilia's shoulder to land upon Beatrice's outstretched palms. As she caught Puck, Beatrice lovingly embraced him and ran around in circles then and there. Subaru was struck senseless by the happy, carefree scene as Emilia walked over with a teasing smile.
Aren't they merry? Puck and Beatrice are very close, you see.
Nobody uses Mary anymore.
When Subaru gave Emilia his stock reply for when she used outdated words, Emilia went, and pointed Subaru's way.
Subaru, that chair.
Oh, right! It's not what you think. I mean, a cold chair really throws you off, so I figured I'd warm it up a little. It wasn't that I just wanted to sit where you usually sit, like an indirect sit-down, really.
Sorry, I'm not really sure what you mean, but that's Roswaal's seat.
With Subaru's big scheme foiled, he slid off the chair in front of the wide-eyed Emilia.
Oh, there's no need for concern. I see your warmth may not reach Lady Emilia, but I shall treasure it greatly.
The clown reached out and patted Subaru's shoulder, smiling at him in consolation. The touch to his shoulder and the gently smiling, made-up face drew a sour frown from Subaru.
This clown's acting real chummy. It's not polite to touch the dancing girls, you know?
Since when did you become a daw? No, Subaru. This man is...
I do nude. Lady Emilia. Considering how he went from being at death's door to being in such high spirits, should we not be quite grateful?
The clown's tone of voice excelled at getting on one's nerves, yet his statement was extremely sensible. The others continued to watch the clown as he slowly sat down in the chair, the very chair at the head of the table that Subaru had been seated in just before.
Hey, now! Not that I should say this, but sitting in someone else's chair is gonna tick people off.
No need to worry about this, Sud. You, really should introduce yourself to Subaru.
It seemed Emilia's exasperation was also directed toward the clown.
What do you mean?
In other words, she means this.
The clown seated in the chair replied to Subaru's query as he spread his arms out wide.
Tidnis! I, lord of this manor, Roswaal L. Mathers. It is good that you feel so safe and comfortable under my roof, Subaru Natsuki.
And so, the deviant noble dressed as a clown introduced himself in a lively manner, thoroughly devoid of shame. Beginning with Roswaal and the seat of honor, they sat in prearranged seats and began breakfast. Subaru was admiring the food before his eyes, reminiscent of salad and soup. Roswaal nodded back, seeming to take personal pride in Subaru's appraisal of the cooking as he looked at Rem.
Indeed. She may not look it, but Rem's cooking is quite something.
When Subaru looked at Rem too, she made a fox sign with a hand. Subaru didn't know what it meant, but it might have been this world's version of making a V with your fingers. Subaru made a frog with both hands in reply.
So the blue is calling you Rem fine. So you cooked this?
Yes, dear guest. Rem handles the meals in this household. Sister is not especially good at it.
Oh ho, so it's like you twins have different specialties. So your sister's really good at cleaning?
Yes, Sister specializes in cleaning inside and doing the laundry.
So since you're good at all the cooking, you're not so good at cleaning and laundry, Remrine?
No, I excel at all domestic chores, including cleaning and laundry, more than Sister.
What's she here for then?
An older twin sister worse at everything under the sun than her little sister? This was a new one. The older sister seemed to pay no heed to Rem's statement. Subaru couldn't prove it, but he guessed the words were true. So why wasn't Ram bothered by it at all?
So maybe it's different fields, huh? Ramchi does combat stuff and the other does more domestic stuff.
Not a bad guess. Though Ram and Rem make a poor first impression because of their idiosyncrasies, yes.
Hard for that to stand out now when their master's so unique, Rachi.
By Rashi, Subaru was addressing the man in charge by a pet name, but Roswaal let the statement pass with practiced ease. Subaru had an ingrained tendency to get a rise out of people, but not so here. That said, the items on the menu vanished from the plates one after another before they knew it.
It'd be something of a dilemma if the food wasn't good, but it's delicious, so no pro. Right, Emilia Tan?
Emilia wiped her lips with a napkin, grimacing at Subaru's carefree words. Subaru tilted his head, wondering what was up, as Emilia exhaled slightly.
You know, Subaru, you shouldn't speak at the dinner table. It's rude to Ram and Rem, who prepared this all by themselves. Without proper manners, you'll make blunders during important occasions, so... How doubt proper manners? You'll make blunders during important occasions.
No one uses blunder anymore, table manners, huh? Kind of late to learn them now, though, right?
Subaru delivered his cliché while motioning toward the dining hall with his hand. In spite of the spacious hall, Subaru was sitting right beside Emilia. By rights, the two would be seated quite far apart to make full use of the dining table.
But I moved closer because I wanted to eat with Emilia Tan. Roswaal didn't say he minded, so what's the big deal? I mean, you can give me any veggies you don't like.
All right, you can have my green pepper. Wait, that's not the point. I'm being an idiot.
Subaru laughed, finding it cute how Emilia tapered her lips in a pout at being outdone in their verbal jousting. After that, Subaru belatedly brought up an issue Emilia's words had raised.
Incidentally, Roshi, I thought I heard Emilia Tan say this household has only 2 maids working here?
Ha! Yes, such is currently the case. Ram and Ram are the only ones left.
2 people handling a place this huge? You'd think people would die from overwork no matter how good they are. That said, it doesn't feel like you're going to be hiring any new maids here.
Roswaal was silent to Subaru's question, crossing his arms at the table. Roswaal's face displayed a smile, but the eyes with which he regarded Subaru had subtly changed.
You truly are a mystery, having come to the House of Malthus at the far reaches of the kingdom of Lugunica, yet you do not know the circumstances. Amazing that you made it past royal customs.
Well, I am kind of an undocumented immigrant in a sense.
Subaru's casual reply startled Emilia. She gave him a glare like she was scolding a young child.
I can't believe it. If you say things like that so easily, bad people will make mincemeat out of you.
Nobody uses mincemeat anymore.
Don't joke about this. Hey, Subaru, is that really true? Is everyone where you come from like this? Or is it really just you who doesn't know?
Subaru, feeling bad at how Emilia was genuinely worried, reflected upon his own behavior.
More like my education's especially lacking, so if it's no bother, I really would be grateful if you filled me in.
You seem an educated enough child to me from the big words you're using, but...
I mean, this here's my debut with high society. I mean, there are things you don't know either. Emilia Tan? Honorifics like that and extrapolit words seem to throw you off?
You do have a point.
Emilia seemed to shrink at Subaru's observation. Seeing Emilia like that surprised him, but it was not the wilting Emilia who followed up, but Roswaal, previously silent in the seat of honor.
I do understand what you are saying, but Lady Emilia is currently studying such things, you see.
Studying, huh? Wait, you mean we lost her when we were talking earlier?
You truly do have an active mind. It is because you think so much that you can make such thoughtless-sounding statements.
Subaru slouched from Roswaal's apparent praise before giving his own chest a thump.
Thinking while you live is just common sense. It's the duty of every man to think on his feet for when the chips are down. That or your guts get spilled all over the floor.
I feel like your guts kind of did spill on the back to the other subject. Subaru, do you know this country's, the Kingdom of Lugunica's situation at the moment?
Not the smallest, tiniest bit.
Hearing you say it like that, I'm shocked you have lived this long.
That doesn't sound like praise to me, Subaru thought while looking fondly at Emilia. He wasn't trying to arouse her protective instincts, but she was certainly giving him that mother hen feeling.
By situation, you mean the country's in a bad spot?
Roswaal carefully chose his words.
A fairly difficult situation, yes, for Lugunica currently lacks a king.
Subaru's breath caught as it sank in. He gave the man in performer makeup a guarded look as he sat straighter in his chair.
There is no need for such concern. The gravity of the situation is already well known to the public, you see.
Well, that's good. I was thinking I'd learned a dangerous secret and would never get out alive.
It's sad you're hearing it first from us. Anyway, The nation's highly unstable right now.
I see, thought Subaru as that sank in. A kingdom without a king was in a very precarious situation. The sudden death of a king, from natural causes or otherwise, could shake a country to its core.
But isn't that usually dealt with by having a child of the king inherit and take over?
Usually that is the case, however, that went awry due to an incident half a year ago when a great plague struck inside the palace walls.
As Roswaal told it, they announced that the epidemic only affected those of a particular bloodline, and so the king and his descendants dwelling in the castle perished.
Can't blame them for getting sick and dying, but what's gonna happen to this country then? If there's no royal bloodline, what, start a democracy and elect a prime minister?
I do not comprehend the latter part of your statement, but presently a council of elders manages the affairs of the country, formed from great families decorating the kingdom's history. The country will continue to operate. However,
After pausing a moment, Roswaal grew tenser.
a kingdom must have a king.
I suppose so.
Even if just for show you couldn't have an organization without someone at its head, let alone a kingdom.
I see, I've got the gist of it. In other words, the country has no king and is in a jumble while it's trying to pick a new one. Your relations with foreign countries are deteriorating and you're in international isolation. So a mysterious foreigner like me appearing is super suspicious?
Fuel the more. By making contact with Lady Emilia, you have become associated with the House of Mathers, you see. Though the evidence is circumstantial, that is all some would need to.
Roswaal lowered his eyes and traced a line across his throat with his thumb. Though Roswaal looked like he was joking, Subaru suddenly broke out in a cold sweat. He had a bad feeling about something. He picked up on it earlier, but it loomed larger and larger with each passing moment.
Why is the Lord of the Manor calling Emilia Tan Lady?
The golden rule of any household was that everyone paid respect to the person of the highest rank. When Roswaal laughed, Subaru felt like the bud of anxiety in his chest had begun to bloom.
Is it not natural to address someone of higher rank than I with proper respect?
Subaru froze with his mouth open. He looked at Emilia so robotically that you could hear the gears turn in his neck. The girl, a grimace on her face, sighed with resignation.
I don't want you to think I was pulling the wool over your eyes, all right?
In other words, Emilia Tan, you're...
Subaru stubbornly stuck to the nickname as she seemed to drive in the final nail.
Currently, my title is Royal Candidate, one of those seeking to become the 42nd ruler of the Kingdom of Lugunica, with the backing of Roswaal's house, that is.
Her words made Subaru feel like he'd insulted heaven itself. So the pretty girl he'd stumbled upon in the other world was a queen. That word alone firmly established that this was a true blue fantasy world. Technically, she was a candidate to be queen. When he remembered his time in contact with her now...
Man, 3 lives aren't enough to pay for this, are they?
Sorry to surprise you this much. I really hadn't meant to keep quiet about it, but, well...
Hey, I'm not upset. You truly are as kind as an angel, Emilia Tan.
Huh?
Subaru's overly direct words made Emilia's face look shocked, then scarlet.
Well, you know, you're the reason everything's happened since I've been here, Emilia. You're seriously EMT, Emilia Tan's a major treasure. That's my honest opinion.
Sigh. Now I think I understand how I got involved with you. You'll brush off anything from anyone. Let's just get to the point, shall we?
Traces of redness still on her face, Emilia clapped her hands to reset the scene. Though still seated, the earlier sense of distance seemed to return. Subaru was forced to go along.
I feel like I am interrupting, but regardless, let us indeed get to the point, shall we? Is that fine with you, Subaru?
Based on my head not flying off my shoulders, I'm guessing it's nothing all that bad.
Roswaal whistled at Subaru's words. Emilia looked equally taken off guard, for both surely saw Subaru's words and actions as a sign that he had a firm understanding of their intentions. Of course, both were reading far too much into it, but that flew way over Subaru's head.
Well, that's what I guessed about the point based on your telling me Emilia Tan's a royal candidate, and why that's important, right?
Emilia made a belated remark.
Subaru, are you actually smart? Or are you simply wrong in the head?
Those are 2 extreme choices, you know?
Subaru agonized as Emilia stuck out her tongue at him a little. She was cute, so all was forgiven. Notwithstanding Subaru's internal simplicity, Roswaal followed up after Emilia's apology.
Your guess is quite on target. This matter is deeply related to what shall become of you. Lady Emilia?
I understand.
Emilia, nodding when called, pulled out something and set it on the table. Her white fingertips pushed it forward. Subaru raised his brows when he saw it.
That's that badge from?
Glittering atop a white cloth, it was a badge with a dragon motif, a jewel embedded in the center of its maw. It was also the key item stolen by the light-fingered Felt, which Subaru had returned to Emilia, its proper owner, coming back from 3 deaths to do it. The deep, serene twinkle of the jewel struck Subaru's eyes, filling him with newfound awe.
The dragon is the symbol of Lugurica, you see, enough that it is known by the rather graven name. The dragon-friend kingdom of Lugurica castle walls and weapons are often adorned with this symbol, but this badge is particularly important.
When Roswaal took a pregnant pause, Subaru looked at him to urge him to continue. Roswaal shifted his gaze to Emilia to suggest she proceed. Emilia closed her eyes as her lips trembled.
It is one's qualification as a royal candidate, a test to determine if the person is worthy of sitting on the throne of the kingdom of Luganica.
Her statement, said in a strained voice, made Subaru's eyes go wide. The badge sitting on the table, a dragon with wings outstretched on the glittering jewel, supported the proof of her claim.
You lost the badge that proves you're a royal candidate.
That's putting it rather crudely. A light-fingered girl stole it.
Same difference.
With that great shout, Subaru smacked his palms against the dining table as he rose to his feet. The impact threatened to make utensils fall to the floor, but Rem's quick follow-up prevented that. Subaru paid that no heed as he spoke.
Wait, seriously, what happened if you didn't have it? That's like the type of item that's really, really bad to throw away, right? They can't issue another one?
Well, if a candidate loses it, it won't end with just talk and excuses. Years!
With Subaru all flustered, Roswaal adjusted the lapel of his unnecessarily large outfit as he spoke.
Our king carries the kingdom on his shoulders. It is thought that a person who cannot protect a single small badge cannot be entrusted with a responsibility as grave as an entire land.
Well, that figures. If anyone knew, it'd be a huge scandal. Which means...
The strife in the royal capital over the stolen badge and the warm reception now, it could mean only one thing.
It's really bad if the public finds out you lost the badge. That's why Emilia Tan was looking for it all by herself.
Yes, that's right.
Felt was the one who stole it, but Elsa was the client, and she said someone else put her up to it, meaning someone's trying to stop Emilia Tan from becoming queen?
That would appear to be the case. There is no simpler way to disqualify someone than to steal the bag.
Inside Subaru, everything that had taken place the day before started to come together. How Emilia stubbornly refused his help, Belt and her client Elsa, Subaru being murdered 3 times over, all of it was rooted in the value of the badge. So too was why Subaru was there at the manor.
Man, looking back on it, I did a super good job. Man, I need a bigger reward, huh?
Subaru was full of himself now that he suddenly knew the importance of his own actions. He looked down at Emilia haughtily, wagging his finger teasingly. He was waiting for the punchline. But
Yeah, you're right. You've been a huge help to me, Subaru. So much that merely saving your life isn't enough. That's how much this means to me.
the way she lifted her hand to her breast, giving Subaru a serious look, put him at a loss for words. The stiffness of his cheeks didn't match the tense, serious aura all around him. Oh man, I seriously suck at reading the mood. Subaru's inability to read the tension in the air clashed with the serious look on Emilia's face. Finally, amid his great embarrassment,
What are you doing?
My hand just kind of reached out.
with Emilia staring at him, Subaru had gently brushed his fingertips into her hair, not so much stroking her head as simply passing his fingers through the hair and enjoying the feeling.
I'm an easygoing guy. I was thinking this would be reward enough for me.
You stroked Puck's fur too. Subaru, do you have some kind of hair fetish?
Subaru let out a yell at the harsh assessment.
Hey, wait, fur and hair aren't the same thing at all. Your silver hair's really pretty.
Emilia's silver hair truly felt smooth as silk. Its soft charm bewitched Subaru in an entirely different way from Puck's fur. But for some reason, Subaru's words made Emilia lower her eyes with a pained look. Subaru tilted his head, not knowing the reason for Emilia's action. His head was still like that when he felt a gaze from behind.
Ah, perhaps we are in the way? We could leave you two to yourselves?
Your concern's the dictionary definition of none of your business, and it's still my turn to ask questions.
Subaru continued enjoying the feel of Emilia's hair as he used his free hand to point at Roswaal.
I understand Emilia Tan being a candidate for becoming queen, but what about this business of you backing her?
You really are rather observant. You've picked up the previous matters quite well, though this is all second nature to any human born and raised in the city.
I'm honored to have your praise count. Those simple anime and romance novels kind of prepared my mind for this fantasy stuff.
Like any reader, he'd been thrust into original scenarios with confusing, hard-to-remember world building. Stuffing this level of background info into his head was no big accomplishment.
Well, it is not something I was trying to conceal. My title is the Kingdom of Luguticus, I suppose. I am Lord of the Outer Regions, but my role sounds better expressed as Court Magician, perhaps?
Court magician? So, you handle magic use at the castle?
Emilia picked up where Subaru's words left off.
Yes, that's the magician of the highest rank. He's the foremost magic user in the entire kingdom.
She looked a little dissatisfied nonetheless. Roswaal seemed nothing but pleased with Emilia's reply, smiling as he brought some tea to his lips.
So, continuing the earlier topic, I stand in support of Lady Emilia's royal candidacy. I am the shield behind her, her patron, so to speak.
Patron, huh?
A representative for those backing her. So that was the position of the man before his eyes. Subaru looked anew at the tall man in clown makeup before gently trading a glance with Emilia.
I don't mean to put this the wrong way, but Emilia Tan, you sure about this guy?
It can't be helped. He's the only one in the kingdom I can ask for support. In the first place, only a meddlesome eccentric like Roswaal would help someone like me. So,
Ah, I see. Process of elimination.
Keep the conversation you two are having right in front of your patron. If I may say so? Oh!
Perhaps feeling somewhat slandered, Roswaal gave off an adult chuckle rather than anger. Maybe he had really thick skin. That, or he simply took pleasure in ignoring people.
So, back to the point, Roshi. I get that you're Emilia Tan's sponsor. It's cute how she goes from one extreme to another to hide how she's a bit of an airhead, but acting on her own like she did yesterday in the Capitol. That's kinda rare, huh?
I would call it unprecedented. Though Ram should have been with her.
Roswaal made a strained smile as he shifted the topic to Rom. When Subaru looked at her, he saw she had the same hairstyle and face as Rem standing beside her. At least you could nicely tell them apart by their hair color.
Man, that totally smug. I got away with it, just as I hoped look gets on my nerves.
Whether she intended to reflect on her error or not, he had her over a barrel. However, Emilia raised a hand in her defense with an awkward look on her face.
it's not Ram's fault. Yesterday I split up from Ram because I lost out to my curiosity and wandered all around.
What's that doe-eyed little girl excuse? Emilia Tan being a big airhead doesn't change the fact that she didn't fulfill her lord's commands. Is that all right?
With Emilia trying to cover for Ram, Subaru pointed a finger from each hand at her before he shifted them over to Roswaal.
You do have a point, though I share responsibility for Ram's lack of discretion. But what are you trying to say?
Simple. You're the ones who dropped the ball by taking your eyes off someone important like Emilia Tan. That's where I came into the picture. I'm saying if you had it all covered to begin with, none of this would have happened.
Subaru's little speech changed the looks on everyone's faces. Emilia raised her eyebrows. One of the twins looked apologetic while the other glared with hostility. Beatrice still had her heated gaze trained on Puck while Puck was precariously stuck headfirst into the egg yolk on the dish before her, and Roswaal made a pleasant smile, nodding as if he agreed.
I see. Certainly Lady Emilia's worth exceeds my considerable personal fortune. It is appropriate that you should seek a reward only from me as a sponsor, is it not?
Yep, and you're not gonna say no, are you, Roshi? I mean, I saved Emilia Tan's life and stopped her from dropping out of the royal selection. I'm totally her savior.
Subaru rose from his seat and posed with a finger pointed up to the sky.
I must admit that it is the truth. Now, then, would you care to elaborate?
Roswaal, too, rose from his seat, looking down at Subaru from a superior height. Emilia looked worried as she watched Subaru and Roswaal stare each other down.
What is it that you seek from me? I cannot refuse your request, if only to prevent this matter from becoming public knowledge. Nu, then, what is your desire?
Hey, that's a noble for you. You really get it. Whatever reward I want. And you can't say no, Rachi. A man doesn't take back his word.
That is quite a saying. I see. A man should make no excuses, no reneging on his word.
Subaru's petty villain behavior made him hear his popularity meter drop in his mind, but the entire effort was devoted to dragging that one statement out of him. Roswaal's consent made Subaru's inner self smile.
I want one thing and one thing only. I want you to hire me.
Compared to the extended foreplay, Subaru's declaration was plain and simple. The girls behind Subaru were in shock at his statement. The looks on the twins' faces became mildly conflicted, whereas Beatrice looked seriously perturbed. As for Emilia,
It's not for me to say, but that's kind of.
her eyes were so wide that even the sublime beauty she was born with lost half its power.
You're cute when you're surprised, but are you that against the idea?
It's not that. You want so little.
It was like Emilia was angry for him as she slapped the table and closed the distance with Subaru.
It's not just the thing with Puck, okay? It's like when you asked me my name back in the royal capital.
Emilia listed the rewards Subaru had claimed to the best of her knowledge. Emilia knew what he'd done to get those rewards. She shook her head like she really didn't understand.
You don't understand how grateful I feel. I can't repay you at all for saving my life and more if you ask for so little.
Emilia's inflection tapered off as she pressed a palm to Subaru's chest and lowered her head. Hearing Emilia's lament, Subaru painfully understood his own thoughtlessness. Emilia had always felt indebted to him. She wanted to pay him back in some suitable way. But the same went for Subaru. Subaru had always been indebted to Emilia, and twice he had become indebted to her in a way he could never repay. He could not repay kindness that had never happened. Before him, Emilia raised up her wavering violet eyes. Seeing the serious look with her plea, Subaru abandoned all thought of kidding around or papering it over. Subaru decided to convey to Emilia how he really felt with all the seriousness he could muster.
You don't understand, Emilia Tan. At the time, that was what I truly wanted from the bottom of my heart, you see?
Huh?
At the time, I wanted to know your name. I think being in a new uncertain land with no idea what would come the next day if I'd stopped to think about it. There were lots of things I could have considered, but I'm a man who can't lie to himself.
It was a reward for which he died 3 times. For nothing more than to see the smiling face of the silver-haired girl before his eyes, and to learn her name. At that moment, there was no greater reward he could wish for.
My request to Rachi's like that too. Right now, I'm completely totally broke. Sure, I could ask for a pile of gold, but why not set myself up so I can make a living long term?
If you wanted that, you could ask to just live here for free. Not as a manservant, you know.
Oh, I could have done that. Hey, Mr. Roswaal, could you let me live as a friend?
Looking at Roswaal as Subaru tried to amend his wish, the man crossed his hands above his head in an X mark.
I shall honor the first request. A man does not take back his word, does he?
Who? You're right. A man doesn't do that. Huh?
Subaru tearfully found his request denied because someone had to open his big mouth earlier.
And I thought for a moment there you seemed actually serious. I must have just imagined it.
And then Emilia Tan lowers my rating. That's kicking me while I'm down.
Subaru realized he'd passed up the chance to establish the perfect easy life in a fantasy world environment. He didn't need to lower the beautiful girl's opinion of him on top of that.
Anyway, that's how it is, so, I mean, Ramchi and Rimrim must be straining to take care of this place all by themselves, so please let me work under them.
It is true that is an actual concern. Though I believe it is as Lady Emilia said, it is indeed asking rather little.
With Roswaal showing a strained smile for once, Subaru put up his left and right index fingers and wiggled them.
I'm a super greedy guy, actually. I mean, living under the same roof as a super cute, beautiful girl who's totally my type. What guy wouldn't want that? Clothes and body is close to the heart and opportunities abound.
I see. Certainly it is as you say. It is rare one gets to work by the side of girls one is interested in. Is it not? Quite pleasant for you.
Well, besides.
Subaru stopped wiggling his fingers and used them to scratch his unkempt hair.
Besides, you're not gonna let a guy you know nothing about like me just pack up and leave, and to me the pros and cons say I should stay with Emilia Tan.
Subaru knew a few too many inconvenient things. He was declaring his belief that nothing good would happen to him if he left the manor without any means of protecting himself. If Roswaal had never considered any such thing, no doubt he would have taken extreme offense. But in contrast to Subaru's awkward feelings about it,
Then it shall be as you ask. I hope we get along very nicely.
Roswaal's instant reply came with one eye closed, looking at Subaru with his yellow eye alone. Subaru couldn't read what he was thinking behind that suspicious twinkle. Incidentally, Subaru was very embarrassed inside from having made such a strong public confession. But when Subaru timidly looked at Emilia's expression,
Goodness, you really are a hopeless child. Did something happen?
her perfectly calm reply left Subaru at a loss for words. Maybe he was overthinking it. This was just the result of his lack of experience with being around a beautiful girl.
Man, dealing with a girl I like this much is getting me all worked up.
Emilia, watching Subaru get fired up on a tangent instead of dealing with more pressing matters, murmured in a little voice.
Which one's more your type, I wonder? Ram or Rem? Or Rem?
Emilia put a finger to her lips in a huff, taking what he'd said earlier completely the wrong way. With the long breakfast taken care of, the matter of what to do with Subaru was largely settled. Seeing this, the first to stand was the girl with curly hair, Beatrice.
I see the discussion is settled, so may I take my leave with Pucky, I wonder.
Beatrice was quick to finish her own meal so that she could leave as soon as possible. Grimacing even then, she seemed about to leave without bothering to put her plates in order when Subaru wagged a finger at her.
Wait, there's no need to be in that much of a hue. Hey, at least introduce yourself. I don't know what your place is here at all. You Roshti's little sister?
Treating me as that thing's relative? You are quite accomplished at angering me?
Beatrice let out a sigh full of disgust as Roswaal, thoroughly bad-mouthed, smiled in amusement. Subaru slumped his shoulders as Beatrice shot him a nasty glare when Puck spoke up.
Betty's the librarian of the Archive of Forbidden Books here in Roswaal's Manor. Pucky?
Just when it seemed like an argument was about to break out, the Grey Cat statement tore it to shreds. Puck was busy nibbling on the heel of a loaf of bread glazed with sugar for a luxurious dessert.
Sweet, tasty, meow.
Hate to bug you when you're on a sugar high, but could you tell me more?
With Puck lost in a sweet daze, Subaru touched Puck's heavily sprinkled ear, urging him on. Subaru was toying with it quite a bit when Puck raised his face from the plate.
It's because Roswaal's a pretty accomplished magician, plus he comes from a pretty old family. There are lots of books here that aren't for other people to see. So, he made a pact with Betty for her to protect them. That's true. How is Pucky always so right? How is Pucky always so right? I wonder.
Beatrice seemed to agree without thinking, speaking as her hand sprang out to Puck's other ear. A lovely look came over her as her fingers felt the fur of his ears. It was the first time Subaru had seen Beatrice with an expression that suited her loveliness. Subaru's breath caught. The odd girl out, Emilia tilted her head a bit as she watched.
You two look like you're really getting along nicely while playing with the cute kitty there.
Getting along nicely with this person is a little.
How could I ever get along with this person? I wonder.
Subaru and Beatrice both shot down Emilia's idea. For his part, Subaru was hiding a blush. For her part, Beatrice looked quite serious.
Hee. I'm so scary, making two people at odds with each other into my slaves. Meow, meow, meow.
Puck was busy being the literal center of attention when Emilia's outstretched fingers grasped him. Puck was in Emilia's fingers, unable to move, as she sighed.
All that said, being the guardian of an archive of forbidden books, the sound of it really tickles a guy's mind.
Beatrice was giving Subaru a sullen look as he tickled Puck, but Subaru's suggestion softened her expression. She toyed with her own long rolls as she gave what was, for Beatrice, a frank reply.
Perhaps you did not hear Pucky's explanation. It is the room you entered earlier.
Oh, the one with all the books.
Remembering the great volume of books chewing up all the floor space, Subaru could accept it being that kind of archive. On the other hand, the idea that all those volumes were somehow forbidden made him feel like it was a crime on a completely different scale.
Don't tell me this Lolly's your unwitting partner in crime.
That word annoys me every time I hear it. And to answer your question, the very thought that I am an innocent victim annoys me enough. Couldn't I just die, I wonder?
Don't be so prickly, shrimp. It takes calcium and a calm heart to get taller. If you were about as tall as Emilia Tan and me, we'd have quite a little love comedy going on here.
He left Beatrice to stew indignantly at his comment as he gave Emilia an amorous glance. But Emilia let that comment slide and pressed a different issue with Beatrice.
Wait a minute. Beatrice, don't tell me you let him into the archive.
I shouldn't have to tell you. Why would I ever need to let in a stranger such as him on purpose? I wonder, no, he solved the riddle of the passage all on his very own.
A vein bulged on Beatrice's forehead as she roughly stood up and pushed open the dining hall door. Subaru, faced with the incomprehensible scene before him, asked like a complete idiot.
Huh? The hallway just...
Before his eyes, the open door that should have led to the manor's hall beyond had opened to a huge room lined with bookshelves. He almost swooned when he remembered that he'd seen it once before.
This is the passage. You are trembling as its sublime beauty burns itself into your eyes, perhaps? Come on, Pucky.
Beatrice stepped into the archive of forbidden books, looking triumphantly at Subaru as she stretched out her hand. Puck leapt from Emilia to land upon her outstretched palm. Upon this, Beatrice closed the door behind both her and the cat. Ram didn't say a word as she opened the shut door. Subaru's eyes widened in total surprise.
Whoa, that's incredible.
Beyond the door, closed so roughly a moment before, Subaru walked with his own feet into the hallway beyond. The scene before him a moment before was like a mirage.
I see. In other words, magic makes it so any door here can connect to any room. Pretty neat for recluses who need to find the John in a pinch.
Emilia seemed a bit thrown off.
You actually look less surprised than I expected. What's a recluse?
A guardian who sacrifices himself holding down the fort at home, waiting for weary family members to return.
That sounds noble. Are you a recluse, Subaru?
Emilia was full of concern when a puff of smoke interrupted her and Subaru tickling his nose.
Achoo!
Yes, yes. Shall we continue the introductions? Ram! Ran!
Pleased to make your acquaintance. I am Ram, employed as chief maid by this household.
Nice to meet you. I am Ram, working as an ordinary maid in Master Roswaal's mansion.
Subaru crossed his arms.
Wow, you sisters suddenly got nice and formal. Well, not that I'm one to talk, but...
The twins joined hands and looked at Subaru.
But dear guest, or rather Subaru, you are our co-worker now.
But dear guest, or rather Barusu, you work under us here now?
Hey, big sis, you're throwing my name back in my face here.
That was the one thing you absolutely did not do at your first formal introduction. Of course, there was no way for Ram or Rem to know of that rule of Japanese society. Subaru endured the mockery as he turned toward Roswaal.
So that's my standing, huh? Not so much a butler as an apprentice maid?
In this situation, your doing odd jobs at their discretion seems best. Dissatisfaction.
If I was going to be dissatisfied, I'd have only myself to blame. Well, had to be done, so no regrets. Take good care of me, my seniors. I'm gonna work super hard and break a leg.
Break a leg.
So it would seem.
The three seemed to instantly agree on the never-before-raised term. With a yeah, Subaru raised his hands and they high-fived each other. They were already getting along.
Harmonious relations are a beautiful thing. As your employer, I think it is just fine so long as there are no ill feelings. Yees.
For some reason, we kinda get along. A lot better than that lowly. Way better than with her.
You really don't want to be seen as Beatrice's friend, do you?
Emilia's pitying murmur signaled the end of the gathering.
Well then, shall we be off, Barusu?
So spoke Ram, commanded by Roswaal to be Subaru's personal tutor. Her little sister Rem was off to the side meticulously cleaning up the dining hall. Ram made no effort to help as she reached for the dining hall door.
So you intend to call me that full time, huh?
Yes, I do, Barusu. Master Roswaal commands it, so I shall show you around the mansion. Can you at least make sure not to wander off?
I'm not Emilia Tan, so I won't let curiosity get the best of me.
Emilia's cheeks puffed up at being teased about getting lost in the capital.
Subaru.
Emilia was about to split off to continue studying various ceremonial roles mandatory for a royal candidate. Subaru was making a point of burning Emilia's beauty into his eyes before she left.
Well, with minor regrets, let's be off. Lead the way.
Yes, let us, Baruso. Until later, Lady Emilia.
Ram held the hem of her skirt, bowing courteously as she left. Subaru started to follow behind her.
Subaru, I will too, but try hard, okay?
Wow, I'm super happy to hear that. I'm really pumped for this.
Mimicking Ram, Subaru held the collar of his track jacket as he bowed. Emilia shot him a strange look as he did so before leaving the room. Ram had a grimace on her face, waiting as he walked into the hallway.
That's quite a sour face, big sis. I was just playing around a little. I'm not so ignorant of maid culture to the point that I think a maid is the same as a manservant. Oh, yeah, what about clothes?
He didn't think it was very likely he'd be starting life as a servant in his tracksuit. Prompted by Subaru, Ram put a hand to her mouth and nodded.
Certainly, clothing is very important. Let's see. Clothing in your size. Yes, we should have some.
Awesome. Okay, let's get me changed then. I think formal actually suits me pretty well. Let's make me a refined, high-quality man.
Subaru smiled with a thumbs up and a twinkle of his eyes when Ram led him upstairs to take his measurements.
The servant quarters are on the second floor, so you'll change there. Your clothing size should be similar to Frederica's, who quit several months ago.
Interesting timing to quit. This Frederica is a woman,
Her dimensions should be right about the same as yours.
but she's not the same gender, right?
Ram stopped walking and gave Subaru a cold look. She looked tired as she put her hand to her forehead.
Clothing that is formal, refined, and high quality. Which of these do you have a problem with?
How about all the above? Emilia Tan looked like she was gonna pay me and everything, so why do I have to borrow a maid outfit? What if people think I'm some kind of weirdo? I don't want that. A trip to a fantasy world without any special talents, save cross-dressing. I would almost have rather died. But since I had a frightening ability, death was no consolation.
Guided by Ram, he continued to the west side of the manor. Roswaal Manor had a main wing in the center, with a corridor connecting it to the east and west wings. The dining hall and Roswaal's private study were in the main wing, whereas the empty servants' quarters were on the western side.
An empty room on the second, yes. Any room that has no plate above it is fine. Pick whichever you wish for your private quarters and I shall drop off your change of clothes there.
Okay, roger that. Which one?
Having been granted private quarters in the mansion, Subaru surveyed the candidates from the end of the corridor onward. Having said that, surely only the locations differed. The contents would remain the same. Being near the stairs was convenient, so
Alrighty, I'll pick this room over H.
he opened the door with no special consideration. At that moment, he spied what looked like a loli playing with a kitty cat in the library.
It's Di. Well, you're so wonderful, Pucky. Your fur is the best forever.
The girl with the long curls noticed Subaru and slowly shifted her gaze toward him. Subaru looked back at Ram standing in the corridor as she shook her head. Subaru gave her a big thumbs up.
Don't worry, I won't say a thing. That feeling turns all of us into blithering idiots.
Could you cut short the magnificently stupid statement and close the door already? I wonder.
Goo.
Some invisible power, likely something magical, threw Subaru back and he flew hard into the corridor wall. The impact to the back of his head made Subaru's eyes spin as he saw out of the corner of his eye the door slam shut with a ferocious sound. Shaking his head, Subaru retraced his steps to complain about the violence of a moment before, but when he opened the door, an empty room within greeted him. The passage had done its magic.
Once Lady Beatrice conceals her aura, one cannot know which door it is. She will not emerge unless you go opening every door in the entire mansion.
Ram spoke like he should bluntly accept defeat. From behind, she patted his shoulder. That feeling made Subaru admit he had lost this.
Oh man, she annoys me. She acted like I did something wrong there.
Or not. Brushing off Ram's hand, Subaru turned and sprinted down the corridor full force. In front of wide-eyed Ram, he ran straight to the door at the other edge of the hallway.
Here!
Whistle? Here!
The girl yelped as the gray cat made a sound of admiration.
Impressive, Subaru.
This time, seeing Beatrice's face rocked at his having broken the passage a second time, he instantly made a roll into the archives so that she couldn't blow him out again. Beatrice's eyebrows rose with anger at something one simply did not do in any library. Never mind these archives.
Oh, you are kicking up dust.
Well, you should have dusted it better then. And you don't bring cats into the library anyway. You get claw marks all over the covers.
It's fine. Leah trims my claws really short.
The odd man out, Puck's casual murmur failed to reach Subaru and Beatrice as they argued. They looked ready to shout loud enough that the echoes would carry through the entire mansion. Ram, belatedly entering through the door leading to the archive of forbidden books, looked at the arguing parties and said in a small voice, "What's at the arguing parties?" and said in a small voice.
If not friends, you certainly are birds of a feather.
Roswaal Manor seemed to shake from their combined shouts.
You. Absolutely not.
And so, Subaru's life as a servant started with a bang. With the conclusion of the unexpected session with Beatrice, Subaru used a dressing room to put on the servant's attire that Ram had given him. It was a white shirt with a black jacket and matching pants, doing no violence to Subaru's preconceived image of a butler. The problem lay elsewhere.
Hey, Ramchi, I put on the outfit, but
Ram, waiting outside the dressing room until he'd finished, entered when called.
Though I'd like to say something about how I've been addressed, is there something wrong with...
Ram, complaining as she made her way in, stopped mid-sentence as she got a good look at Subaru, putting her hand to her forehead.
Indeed there is. Your shoulders, and also, your legs are too short.
you mean my height? The shirt's fine, but the jacket's real tight on the shoulders. I'm decently athletic, not that it gets me anywhere, but this super tight top makes me look like a macho man here.
Just as Ram had indicated, the shoulders were stiff because the sleeves were a poor fit. In particular, the armpits were far too tight for his shoulders to move. Subaru wondered if this was a natural problem when dealing with hand-me-down servant uniforms.
I can roll up the sleeves, but the top's no good like this. I suppose I can handle shortening sleeves on my own, but...
So you have unexpected talent, Baruso. We cannot have you working in such a sorry outfit. It will bring the manners and Master Roswaal's standards into question.
He dresses like that and he worries about standards?
The Ram had a neutral expression. The tilt of her head made plain her displeasure, so he shut up. Subaru's zipping. His lips with his finger brought a sigh out of Ram.
We can do nothing for what is inside, but we can at least make you look presentable. At any rate, let's leave the shortening of the legs for later and just fix the top.
Easier said than done, though. I don't have any experience with that either.
Maybe I could manage anyway, voiced Subaru as he assessed the limits of his sewing skills, but Ram countered.
No need for concern. Rem, come over here.
Come over here? She's not gonna pop right in just 'cause you...
You called, sister?
Whoa. As soon as she was casually called, Rem appeared right beside them, giving Subaru quite a fright. It was as if they were playing a joke. The twins tilted their heads in unison as they watched Subaru's shocked, frozen reaction.
What are you so surprised for?
What are you so scared for?
I'm not scared, just a little surprised. That twin power thing's really something. Maybe it was some kind of twin sympathy they talked about on those supernatural investigation shows. That thing where they could read the other even when apart.
Seeing Subaru so shaken, Ram made a hump sound.
Of course it is no such thing. I spotted her happening to walk by and called out to her. Perfect timing.
That last part sounds like it's rubbing it in somehow.
Ram cut in.
So what is it you need? I do not have much time to waste on Subaru.
That uncaring attitude really hurts. Geez, I'm the new guy. Be gentle.
But the truth was that Rem was indispensable for maintaining the manor. Delaying her for any real length of time was surely a bad thing. Yet Ram looked at Rem, pointing to Subaru as she stated,
Rem, surely you have noted Barusu's pathetic appearance?
His shoulders rotate oddly, and his legs are too short. Also, his face is terrifying. And
You just had to poke at two things I can't do anything about. It's not like clothes. You can't change how your face looks no matter how hard you try.
The sisters ignored Subaru's complaints as they continued to converse. Subaru, the odd man out despite being the subject, was left with nothing better to do than to roll up his sleeves.
Barusu, hand Rem your jacket. You will have to do without it until tomorrow morning.
That's a big help, but sure about this. You've got a mountain of work, right?
of course I am quite busy. However, handing it over saves time and trouble later.
Ah, right. Please and thank you.
Swayed by the sound argument, Subaru stripped off his jacket and handed it to Rem. Upon taking the jacket, Rem pointed to the dressing room and motioned with her chin for him to get in.
I need to take your measurements. You can't take them yourself, can you?
I feel sorry for making you go through all this trouble.
I do not mind. Someday you shall repay me for this, with interest.
That doesn't sound quite right, but you seem dead serious. So scary.
Subaru and Rem left the haughtier-than-thou Ram in the corridor and went into the dressing room. The dressing room held not only servant uniforms but various changes of clothes for Roswaal as well. Everything felt like it came straight from a circus dressing room. When his gaze left the area with Lord's attire of rather poor taste, several more flowery outfits drew him in. One of them was an outfit he'd seen at the royal capital, so these were no doubt outfits for Emilia.
I'd love to have her model all of those, twirling around and showing them off.
What are you mumbling about? Get over here, please.
Summoned by the especially sharp voice, Subaru obeyed without further kidding around. The middle of the dressing room had no booth for trying on clothes, but it did have a divider for that purpose, and there awaited Rem with a slender measuring tape. The elaborate imprint on the tape marked it as a high-quality item.
Stand straight over there. Stretch out your arms so I can measure your arms and shoulder height.
Okay, roger that. Thanks.
Turning away from Rem, Subaru reached out both arms as she had instructed. Subaru stretched his short frame as much as he could while Rem wrapped the tape around his arms and back. Subaru's shoulders quivered with a sensitive sound when he suddenly became aware of her soft touch and breathing.
Please do not make strange noises, Subaru. It is unpleasant.
I couldn't help that. This is tough on a guy on more than one level.
Faced with Rem's cold, heartless words, Subaru searched his mind for any change of subject.
By the way, there's Rochi's and Emilia Tan's clothes in here, but I don't see any dresses for you, Ram, or the lolly. They in another room?
Lady Beatrice changes her clothes in her private quarters. Sister and I do not wear clothes other than these, so we do not require different outfits. We change in our own quarters.
Subaru raised his eyebrows at Rem's matter-of-fact reply. Then Rem, having just finished measuring him, wrote something on a nearby memo. Subaru crossed his arms and looked at her.
You don't have any other kinds of outfits, so what, it's all maid outfits? What about when you go out in days off?
It is no hindrance to our work here at the manor, or when accompanying Master Roswaal in public. I think it is a quite logical way to present our status without need of an explanation.
Logical ain't the point here. I think a beautiful girl has a duty to wear pretty clothes and bring joy to others.
Sister may be another matter, but no one would be pleased were I to dress up.
Maybe I would?
Would pleasing you do me any good, Subaru?
Maybe it'll make me work harder at the servant's life. That's logical, isn't it?
Rem had the slightest look of surprise at Subaru's comeback. Subaru, pleased at cracking her neutral expression, twisted the corners of his lips into a grin.
I do not know why you would go so far as to say that, Subaru.
Even your hairstyles and outfits are the same. Your personalities are different, so at least pick different clothes. Or something like that. I mean, the maid outfits look good on you, and it does kind of work for twins like you girls.
In her current outfit, she was cute with room to spare, but their attire was identical down to the haircut. Precisely because they were twins. He wanted to see some individuality, the essence of human emotion. That was how Subaru felt, but
Eh.
None of your business. What is wrong with my being the same as sister?
it was hard to believe, but Rem's expression was more glacial toward the wide-eyed Subaru than before. Subaru unintentionally hemmed and hawed, the exchange of small talk until just earlier seemingly long forgotten.
Let us go back and not speak silly things. I cannot leave sister waiting any further, and there's a great deal you must learn after all.
Her demeanor permitting no dissent, Rem turned her back on Subaru and headed to the room's entrance. Subaru, more confused than before, walked behind her as he murmured.
That's being a little too into your big sister.
He sighed, concerned about where his relations with the seemingly unflappable girl would go. With the measurements done, they linked back up with Ram in the dressing room, and Rem went her separate way. In spite of being pressed by work, Rem said, Ram went.
I will re-stitch your jacket overnight and deliver it before morning once it is done.
She shot Ram a look rich in meaning as she left. Their eye-time message system made Subaru give Ram's shoulder a soft poke.
Hey, what did Rem say with that eye contact thing just now?
She said, Subaru gave me perverted glances when we were alone, you beast.
So you got that much from just... Hey, don't back away, that hurt my feelings.
Though Ram's retreat from Subaru, clutching her own shoulder, pained his heart, his time as a servant at the manor finally began in earnest. The West Wing contained the servants' quarters, spare furniture, and normal books not meant for the archive. In contrast, the East Wing had suites for welcoming visiting nobles, with rooms for entertaining guests and other facilities, with few functional differences from the main wing.
You have now toured nearly all the manor. All that remains are the gardens outside the buildings and the front yard between the manor and the gate. You can see those later. Any questions so far?
Shouldn't the tour have been something Emilia Tan would have done?
Not at all, since we will be getting to work immediately.
During the guided tour, Ram's personal disposition and Subaru's penchant for stopping and going off on tangents made her easily fend off Subaru's latest line. Subaru wasn't sure if that meant the last several hours had brought them closer or he'd simply dug himself into a deeper hole, but...
My chores for today are maintaining the garden and front yard and checking the surroundings. I will be assisting in preparing lunch, and at 8 solar time I must wash the silverware. You shall assist me, Barusu.
Sure thing, but what's that solar time you mentioned?
It was a term he'd heard when he'd awoken that morning. He'd guessed that solar time referred to time during the day, but...
So 8 solar time indicates the time. Do you have a clock or something?
Clock? If you mean a magic time crystal, they are all over the mansion, including right over there.
Subaru looked where Ram pointed and saw a crystal emitting a dim light. The crystal hung from the upper part of the mansion's wall, pretty much right where a big clock might be back in his world. Subaru squinted as he stared at the flickering green light emitted by the crystal.
It's a little weird, but I guess it's just another clock. How do I read it?
Solar time is wind time from 0 to 6, then fire time for the next 6. Lunar time goes from water time to earth time. To not know this, are you some kind of barbarian, Barusu?
An actual barbarian wouldn't answer yes to that, you know?
He hated hearing it, but Subaru's lack of common knowledge made that appraisal hard to shake. Thinking back, there was a magic time crystal in the room. Subaru awoke into. Subaru felt that the crystal had been a lot greener then.
So, what the color gets brighter as time passes?
Wind time is green, fire is red, water is blue, earth is yellow. Anything else you want explained?
I'm okay with the time stuff now. Solar time and lunar time are kind of like AM and PM from the sound of it.
No doubt he'd have to endure many other clashes with what passed for common sense in a fantasy world. Subaru crossed his arms and nodded. Ram seemed tired as she put a hand to her forehead.
It's hard enough to train you for the job from scratch. But having so little common sense, when did I go from domestic help to an animal trainer?
It's scary just to hear words like animal trainer, so maybe you could pick different ones, boss.
Ram's eyebrows twitched at being called boss. Feeling that she either didn't care or wasn't too bothered, Subaru switched gears a bit.
By the way, there were only you two taking care of the place earlier, but it wasn't going to be like that forever, right? I mean, you had that maid who quit before?
Master Roswaal has relatives living at various lesser manors, so most of our co-workers have come from there until now. Rem and I work here at the main residence so that we may attend to Master Roswaal personally.
Main residence and lesser manners. So, this is the main residence?
Master Roswaal is head of the Mathers family, so of course he lives at the main residence. And I say relatives, but his relations with the other branches of the Mathers family are not particularly deep.
Perhaps Subaru should have expected that a nobleman like Roswaal would have a complex relationship with his family. Now that Subaru was working for the man, he couldn't consider himself a bystander in that. Besides, he was closely related to Emilia, a royal candidate.
Even if you're just looking after Rochi, this mansion's too huge for two people to handle, right? Can't you hire more people?
Circumstances make that impossible at the moment. Also, the time for idle talk is over.
Ram clapped, signaling the end of that line of discussion as she calmly walked forward. Subaru wanted to ask her more about stuff, but he could do that and pick up more common knowledge as he worked. He needed to put his back into the work first, to keep her happy if nothing else.
Haven't worked like this before, but I feel really positive for some reason. I guess it's the beautiful girl thing?
Flattery will get you nothing. No kindness, no mercy.
You should learn a little modesty from your little sister, geez.
Subaru threw that out, still chewing over the conversation with Rem back in the dressing room. Subaru was half in tears as he yelped at the fresh wound, wet with red blood. Ram, engaged in the same work right beside Subaru, narrowed her eyes as she watched him wave around his bleeding left hand.
That is what thoughtlessness gets you. Basuru, do you know the meaning of improvement?
But this is the first time I've dealt with any tableware that's not chopsticks.
Subaru stuck his cut finger into his mouth as he complained, his cheeks puffing as the metallic taste filled his mouth. They were in the kitchen, shortly before noon. After wrapping up in the garden with Ram, the two returned to the dining hall to help Rem prepare. That being said,
I understand me, but making your big sister peel stuff too? I mean, where's the dignity?
Ram was quick with a counter.
We have worked and lived together a long time, so we divide work by our specialties. This is not my place to shine.
I thought I heard earlier that she's better than you in every area, though?
He'd heard earlier how Ram came in behind Rem at cooking, cleaning, washing, sewing, and pretty much every other chore. Ram did seem pretty experienced at peeling veggies, though.
Are both of you going to be done soon?
Rem spoke seemingly wide-eyed at the two she'd entrusted the peeling to as she put them to shame with her ferocious meal preparation. Rem's practiced hand was far beyond the norm, making her cooking feel like a type of highly polished performance, completely unlike the other two, doing menial work off in a corner. Rem looked back as she poured ingredients into a huge frying pan and mixed them, silently looking over her big sister peeling and Subaru bleeding. Rem nodded like nothing had happened.
As usual, sister. The sight of you peeling vegetables is worthy of a painting.
Your favoritism is so obvious, it's refreshing. I'd love a comment for the work I'm doing, too.
I feel sorry for the farmer who grew those vegetables.
Stop! You're wounding me!
Rem was looking at the atrocious wreckage of the vegetables Subaru had peeled. The potato-like vegetables had been cut down roughly halfway, yet skin remained on them. Furthermore, fairly deep cuts to his hand had left the table wet with blood. Ram, peeling her potatoes very prettily, glanced at the still bleeding Subaru and offered advice.
You handle a knife poorly, Barusu. You're cutting yourself because you're moving the knife, not the vegetable. When peeling, keep the knife steady and rotate the vegetable around.
Her form was excellent. Her peelings had no interruptions from head to tip. She continued.
I will have you know my specialty is steamed potatoes.
You actually looked proud when you said that. Damn it, just watch. My beloved blade shooting star will put you in your place.
Frustrated, he picked up the knife and tightly grasped the wooden handle. It was a completely ordinary knife for peeling, but from that day onward, it would be Subaru's precious shooting star.
Oh.
Raising his voice, he hunched over and held the knife steady, rotating the vegetable just as Ram had advised. The first cut was still rather deep, but he was surprised inside at how smoothly the rest went. When he glanced over, he saw Ram looking proud of Subaru doing as she had instructed. Genuinely grateful, Subaru concentrated on peeling without a word, when suddenly,
What? If you stare at me like that, I'm gonna start blushing.
Subaru looked up when he realized it was Rem who was staring at him. Rem looked slightly taken aback as she tried to counter. But whatever she was trying to say, Ram's words interrupted.
She is staring at how pathetic you look, Barusu. In particular, your head is quite lacking.
Her words made Subaru tilt his head.
I thought this haircut was a lot better than it used to be, though.
At the very least, it deserves a failing grade, given that you are a servant, right, Rem?
Ah, yes. I suppose so. It does seem just a tiny bit lacking.
Looks like it really bothers you. Geez, sorry.
Their plain-spoken, low assessment of the work he'd taken some pride in put Subaru down a bit. As Ram watched Subaru, she made a hump noise through her nose.
Incidentally, Rem handles people's hair here at the manor. She dresses me and does my hair every morning, you see.
Yeah, that's how you twins are the spitting image of... Wait, that sounds wrong.
The way she said it just then made it sound like Ram did all the work by herself. But faced with Subaru's retort, Ram folded her arms and boldly replied,
It is exactly as you think, Barusu.
Help out your little sister a bit, geez.
Ram's boldly declaring herself to be the good-for-nothing older sister made Subaru shout with a look of feigned shock. Then, Ram stroked the pink hair that Rem had combed, looking at her younger sister.
Rem, would you mind giving Barusu's hair a little cut?
Now hold on, having a girl playing with my hair is really gonna throw me off here.
Sister?
Ram's sudden suggestion threw off both Subaru and Rem. Ram trained her red eyes on her sister's questioning look, slightly lowering the tone of her voice.
You were looking at Barusu because of his hair, yes?
Yes, that is correct. A little combing and styling would make it look much better.
You should let her do as she says then. Riem's hands are heavenly, I assure you.
That makes it sound like a kind of perverted request, you know.
It seemed like the older sister was giving Rem the excuse to indulge in her unexpressed interest. Maybe it was an issue of personalities. Unlike Ram already giving Subaru no quarter, Rem apparently hadn't decided yet how she should act toward him. Subaru agreed with the need to close the distance, but
If you don't want to, then you don't have to. I kind of hope you do, though.
No, not at all. It is true that it bothers me slightly. Very slightly. Just a little.
knowing that it was really bothering her, Subaru lost more confidence. He thought he was just indulging in his individuality, but with such thoughts on his mind, three voices sounded as one. The edge of shooting star shifted from a potato to Subaru's thumb. Subaru yelled out as he shallowly peeled the wrong kind of skin.
Who? Oh man, it took off a little.
It seems it is displeased to be called your beloved knife. Since your love is so one-sided, perhaps you should try calling it your favorite knife instead?
Sister, the water is boiling, so let's put in the vegetables you cut.
You two love hazing the new guy, don't you?
Their prioritizing of the work was admirable, but Subaru lacked the mental strength to praise it. And so, half a day flew by.
So tired.
As Subaru spoke, he flopped completely onto the bed, all his strength exhausted. He was in the servants' quarters he'd been given. From that day onward, it would serve as Subaru's private quarters and sleeping space. It was a frugal room with a cheap bed, desk, and chair. So of course it lagged far behind the standards of the guest room where he'd been a patient.
Well, the expensive stuff is really stifling, so this is A-OK.
Burying his face into the pillow, he decided it still smelled and felt up to high-class standards. Now that he was off work, Subaru quickly changed from his uniform to his tracksuit, intending to go to sleep in clothes that he was more accustomed to.
Man, they worked me to the bone. Work's hard work. I seriously get why Dad and they are so awesome in the working world. Even one day of this is nothing to sneeze at.
He let out honest admiration as he loosened his creaky body, thinking back on his first day at work. Sure, there were lots of little details he didn't know, but he was still depressed at how bad a job he'd done. The saving grace was perhaps Ram's attitude as an instructor.
She's blunt and to the point, but she's gentler and more polite than I expected, really, ah?
He lifted his face at the abrupt knock on the door. As he did so, he heard a voice from the door's direction.
It's Rem. Subaru, is now a good time?
Sure. I'm not doing anything weird, so come on in.
That makes it sound more suspicious rather than less. But pardon me.
Rem opened the door and entered the room, still dressed in her maid outfit. For a moment, Subaru raised his eyebrows at Rem's visit, but he understood the reason as soon as he saw the black jacket she had in her hands.
Wait, you don't mean you're done already? This redefines the words fast job.
It is nothing so grand as retailoring it all together. I would have to take more care if it were one of Master Roswaal's outfits, but this will do for you.
That made it sound like you, really cut corners?
Rem made no reply as he took the jacket, briskly opening it and putting his arms through the sleeves. Before, the outfit's armpits were too tight and his shoulders could barely rotate. But
I hate to admit it, but you did it perfectly. My arms can go round and round. Does it look good on me?
When combined with the rarity of your gray-colored clothing, nobody else's strange outfits could compare.
Okay, that didn't sound like a compliment. Guess even I can tell that much.
having the manservant's jacket over a t-shirt made Rem's assessment a natural one. Indeed, it must have taken considerable effort not to laugh. But
What shall we do about the cuffs?
Cuffs? Ah, you mean for the pants? Crap, I forgot. With a needle and thread I could do it myself, though.
I have brought some with me. Shall I adjust them now?
it was a good faith suggestion with no apparent ill will from Rem's side. She'd slipped in some choice words with it, but that was her style, so he let it slide. Either way, Subaru wanted to repay the favor somehow.
Okay, hand the needle and thread over here. My sewing skills are gonna get a whole new grade today.
I should expect more from the person who had showed such dexterity while struggling to peel vegetables for dinner today.
Ye underestimate me while you can, and by all means, prepare to be shocked.
Looking like she was giving up on Subaru, sky-high with confidence, Rem took a Fantasy World sewing kit out of a pocket and handed it to him. He took it, finding that the contents matched up pretty nicely with what he could expect from home. With a practiced hand, he passed the thread through the needle and pulled the cuffs of the trousers up over his knees.